What's up, pumpers? Jerome here with another TBC video. Today we're going to be talking about why this is the absolute best time to re-roll in the Burning Crusade. Before we get started, please hit that like button, hit the subscription button, and don't forget to click that notification bell, or I won't be able to keep making more videos like this one.
You are not prepared!
The biggest reason why you should be re-rolling in TBC right now is that class balance is about to be solidified, meaning that what classes are going to be really good at the end game, that's sort of being decided right now. So in the next couple of patches, we're going to see a different meta than we did at the launch of the game, and this means certain classes are going to be left behind, and certain classes, especially melee classes, which were kind of neglected for a long time, are going to be seeing a lot more relevance in PvE and PvP. Depending on what you want to play, this is going to really matter. You don't want to be left behind. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're playing an undesired class and you're kind of getting shifted out of your raid. You want to be desirable. You don't want to feel unwanted in groups. You want to make sure that you are always going to have a raid spot and always be in your guild speedruns, for example. Or maybe you're doing arenas and you don't want to be left out of arenas and playing with a variety of different partners and different comps and being at a high level. So I think it's very important you take a hard look at your class right now and sort of suss out what will be the end game of that class. So for example, rogues right now are starting to look really attractive. And I said this before the game came out. All of a sudden, about halfway into TBC, everybody would magically just have a rogue. And that's the point that I'm talking about right now. We're reaching this sort of unspoken secret moment where everybody that's really smart about the game is magically going to have an ult for the end game that they didn't have before. We're already seeing this with rogues. So, for example, Zico has a rogue right now. A lot of people have rogues that didn't have rogues before. And magically, all of your favorite content creators are going to have a rogue because we all know rogues with warglaives are one of the best parts of TBC. And rogues scale really well in the end game. Warriors as well. Warriors are scaling better and better with gear. And all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot more warriors in your raids, depending on how your raid comp is set up, of course. Of course, you're still going to have room for warlocks and mages with AoE damage, but there are classes that are suddenly becoming viable that were not really as viable before. And just to give an anecdotal story, back in Classic WoW, a lot of people started on mages, and then within 3 to 4 months, magically out of nowhere, everybody was a warrior. And this didn't really happen with anybody saying anything. It was more of just an unspoken, everybody just decided to re-roll at the same time. Behind the scenes right now, a lot of people are making a difficult choice. Do you abandon the character you started with? Is it the character you want to keep playing for the rest of TBC? Is this your dream? Is this what you want to do in arenas, in raids? And there's a hard choice to be made, but I'm saying this is the absolute best time to make that choice. Not to talk about Classic all day and night here, but history does repeat itself. And back in Classic, I played a Hunter at the start of the game, and by the ZG patch, I was pretty much out on Hunter. I wasn't having a lot of fun, and it was very apparent that in AQ40, a lot of the gear upgrades would be much better for Warriors, for example. And Hunters just weren't going to get a lot of great upgrades, so I re-rolled to Warrior. Within a couple of months, I was all caught up, and I was doing AQ40, and I had PvP, and I was ranking as well, and I was just having so much more fun. And I'm saying right now, this could be your life. You could make a big switch and have a lot more fun with the game and get a ton more relevant upgrades and feel more powerful and relevant in your raid. This is a really great time to re-roll. This is the time when, if you switch classes, I don't think people really hold it against you. Now, of course, you could keep playing your main for a while here. I'm not saying just throw it away, but level up that second character and slowly transition it into your main. And that's the way to go for sure. So we talked about the biggest reason why you should be re-rolling, which is that the power of the game is solidifying and which characters and which classes are relevant is sort of being determined for the rest of the game. But this also applies to arenas as well. So we're not just talking PvE, we're also talking about arenas, and we're talking about PvP. I think arenas are the best part of TBC. And Season 3 and 4 are considered the very best of the arenas. And we're going to see some pretty crazy balancing stuff in Season 3 and 4. Of course, the biggest differences in Season 3 and 4, rogues are just going to pop off with the warglaives, of course. But also, the tankier, slower comps are going to succeed even more. The druid-based comps are going to be so survivable. For example, Warlock Druid is going to be a disgustingly powerful comp. Keep in mind, double DPS theoretically will continue to get worse over the future seasons, especially because arena gear just continues to add more resilience. You continue to get more armor every single season. So figuring out what you want to play in arenas. Did you always want to play, for example, a rogue? Did you always want to play a warrior? This is a time to decide what you want to play for the rest of TBC. And honestly, it's so much fun. You can catch up You can play Battlegrounds. You'll have a reason to play the game again. And maybe on your main character, you're already done with all the honor gear farming, for example, and you don't have anything to do except play arenas. I think having another character where you can play arenas is really great right now, especially where a lot of people aren't available very often for arenas with all their raiding going on. So having a second character you could switch to and say, okay, my partner isn't on tonight, let's play Hunter for tonight, for example, or let's play Warrior tonight, or let's play Druid tonight, and having a lot of different options. And then, of course, whichever one is the strongest, that's the one you push for Glad on, for example. A lot of content creators have multiple characters that they play and they do arenas on, and it's honestly a better way to do it because your partner might not always be available, and you just get more games in general. If you really like arenas, the best way to get better is to play more games. So having a second character that you put a lot of time and effort into is definitely going to be worth it. And if you really enjoy that character, you could start to transition that to your main character. So let's say you have an alt rogue. Well, slowly but surely your rogue becomes your main character, and now all of a sudden you're a rogue main. The next reason why you should be re-rolling in TBC right now is that there's going to be a lot of downtime in the next patch, and this is a great time to sort of keep yourself engaged and not burning out of the game. If you level a character slow and enjoy it and quest and do some dungeons, you're going to enjoy the game a lot more than just raid logging, for example, and kind of falling out of love with the game. And I think this is a great time to rekindle your enjoyment of the game and slow things down. Maybe you raid 2 nights a week, and then the rest of the time you're working on this alt, this secret weapon that you're questing on, you're getting reputations for, you're farming gold for, and you're just having a lot of fun in the back. Keeps you engaged, keeps you enjoying the game, and stops you from burning out. I think this is a great time because of the downtime before the next phases. It would be really nice day one to be able to do raid lockouts in the next phase with your new alt that may one day become your main character. Also really good for PvP as well, because you'll be able to start getting battleground gear and start racking up some arena points so that, let's say your rogue, for example, or your warrior, or whatever you want to re-roll to, starts to have a little bit of a nest egg for arena points, for example, so that you're not super far behind during the next arena season. The next reason why you should be re-rolling in TBC right now is gold related. It's gold all the time right now. And the reason why is, number one, gold is really hard to get right now. Raiding has been hyper expensive for everybody, and also it's just really hard to get out there and get gold. Maybe you just start out with an alt that what you want to make some more gold with. For example, a Feral Druid where you're doing tanking services for gold and keeping the nethers, for example. And then all of a sudden you fall in love with the gameplay style, and now you're a main tank for a really good guild on your Feral Druid. Anything is really possible. You may end up really enjoying a certain type of gameplay, and of course you're going to become better at the game as well. And having more characters, I think, just keeps you engaged. And otherwise, if you're just raid logging, you're going to burn out really quickly. Speaking of gold, the future of the game, of course, love it or hate it, is GDKPs. We know this because, like I said before, history repeats itself. And back in Classic, towards the end of Nax, everything was GDKP all the time. Nobody was doing anything that wasn't GDKP. It was constant GDKP. And this is the time to start making that gold. The reason why everything becomes GDKP at the end of a expansion's life cycle, especially Classic and now TBC, is because people are gearing up for the future. And they no longer have that progression mentality of like, I want to be in a guild and get slowly getting these items and upgrades and improving together. Now it's all about me. You want to be able to lock your characters in and have full max pumping biz and not really have to worry about them anymore and be able to enjoy PvP as much as possible in arenas, for example, and just knowing you don't have to go back to do more raids for, eternity over and over again. There's a lot of people that didn't finish their ATS, for example, or their Thunder Fury in Classic, and you don't want to have to be that person, which is why GDKPs are so popular towards the end game in the first place. People just want their gear, and they don't really want anything else. They just want to get in there and get out. So GDKPs are really popular. One of the reasons why, though, is because of future expansions. Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Everybody that's been slacking in WoW is going to come back and want to get their characters maxed out in time for Wrath of the Lich King, for those raids to World First, for example, for those World First raids. So everybody's going to want to max their gear out, and the people that have a lot of gold are going to come back and whip out their gold and buy all those max pieces at the end of Sunwell, for example. And this is the reason why you need to have gold now, because you're going to be competing with a lot of other people that are coming back at the end of the expansion, and they're going to want to buy every piece of good equipment, so that they can be ready for Wrath of the Lich King. And you want to be ready as well. And that's another reason why you should be re-rolling, because you got to get ready for Wrath. For example, one of the reasons my Holy Paladin is a thing is because I have very good information that Holy Paladin is a god tier arena class in 2s, and I want to have a Holy Paladin ready to go. If you have a dream in Wrath of the Lich King, perhaps you want to play a warrior or a rogue or perhaps a shadow priest, whatever you want to play, this is the time to make that character and get it all sorted out, because Wrath of the Lich King is coming. It's inevitable within the next year or so, and you want to be all set up for Wrath of the Lich King. So don't slack. You need to be ready to re-roll right now. Make that alt, slowly transition it into a main. Over time, nobody will even notice your transition into that main character. And before you know it, people will be like, wow, Jerome was a rogue main the whole time, even though I was previously a warrior main, previously a druid main, and previously a hunter main. So now you know why you need to be re-rolling in TBC right now. The balance of the game is being solidified. Arenas are about to peak. There's going to be a lot of downtime, and you have a lot of time to get those alts and mains sorted out. And of course, gold is going to be extremely valuable and relevant, especially with GTKPs. And don't forget Wrath of the Lich King Classic, getting all prepped up for that and making sure you have a main that you're proud of in Wrath of the Lich King. Let me know in the comments if you've already re-rolled or plan to re-roll in TBC. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.